Hi everyone! I'm Claris, I'm an indie author and poet, and welcome back to my channel. If you've been here before, you know what I've been up to. Recently, I attended Canada Fiction Fest, showcased a lot of authors nationally, pretty much from all over Canada, save for 2 provinces this time around, but hopefully we'll get all of them next year. So, if you've been following me for a while, you know that I was part of 2 panels for Canada Fiction Fest, which is pretty awesome. It had been a while since I've been part of any panels of any sort, so I was a bit nervous about it, but I am so happy with how they turned out. So today I thought, for this video, I would recap a little bit of what it was like to be picked as a panelist for Canada Fiction Fest, what it was like to be chosen and how I reacted to that, and how I prepared for said panels, and what I thought of how panels were organized overall, and what it was like participating in it at the time. I first heard about Canada Fiction Fest on Blue Sky because the organizer NP Thompson, I had been following her for a while, so I could see her on socials posting about this event, and immediately I was like, this sounds really cool, and I haven't really heard of an online national Canadian showcase before, so that was something I really wanted to take part in. And even better was the fact that it was open to both trad-pubbed authors and indie authors like myself. So I wanted to represent the indie author part of Canada, so I immediately signed up for participating in the event. And when they mentioned, hey, would you like to be not just showcased on the website, but also in panels, I immediately went, yeah, sure, let's see how this goes. I don't know if you'll accept me, but sure, let's see how this goes. It wouldn't hurt to throw the hat into the ring, right? Later on, that was when I realized they contacted me, and they were like, yeah, we would love to have you in literally 2 of the panels that you signed up for. And I was just immediately excited. But then I also immediately panicked. When I was chosen for both panels, I found out that I had been chosen for the Fantasy Author Readings panel, which was on June 24th, and the General Discussion / Creative Writing panel, which was on June 23rd. One reason I kind of was immediately excited was because this was awesome. This was pretty much the biggest opportunity I've had as an indie author to represent myself nationally. To be taking part in an online showcase such as this for its first year ever was so amazing to me, and I'm still very, very grateful to be part of the opportunity. The reason I panicked, however, was because of 2 things. One, I was doing 2 panels one day after the other. Second, it had been a few years since I did an author reading. The last time I participated in an author reading was back in 2023 with the Creative Writers Academy, when they had been showing off their books of newly published authors, and I just happened to be one of them, so we each had to read an excerpt from one of our books during that time. However, it had been some years since then, and yeah, I was shaking in my seat when I realized that I would have to give an author reading live in front of whoever was watching on the internet. And then it would be recorded for all eternity and kept on their YouTube channel for presumably all eternity. Given all of this, I knew that preparing for the author reading panel would be a lot tougher than participating in the creative writing panel. And knowing this, I knew that I had to immediately figure out, firstly, which book was I going to read from, and secondly, which parts of the book am I going to read from. Because if I didn't figure that out, and I just went in blind, I would totally screw up everything. Fortunately, by then, I already knew what type of author reading it was, because when they asked me to sign up for the panels, they specified that I had been selected for the fantasy author reading. And knowing this, I only had 2 fantasy books out, Found and Sadie Rowe and the Secret Necklace. I figured, why not go with reading from Found? Because, firstly, 1, it's in a short story, or rather, it's a collection of short stories, so I can just choose one of them and read aloud from one of them. And secondly, because I was reading from just a short story, I wouldn't be accidentally spoiling the entire rest of the book. After I figured out which book to read, I realized I had to figure out which short story to read. I initially thought about reading from Rooted because that was one of my favorite short stories that I wrote out of all of the short stories in that collection. However, I realized that might not be such a great idea because, firstly, not a lot of people know about the juniper tree fairy tale, and if you don't know it, look it up, it's really good. And secondly, if people are not as familiar with the source material that it's inspired from, they might not be as interested in reading. Unfortunately, when it comes to fairy tale retellings, more people are familiar with the more popular fairy tales and will be more likely to read those ones as opposed to ones that are less familiar to them. And honestly, I can't do anything about that. So given this, I decided to read from Rested, which is my short story based on the Sleeping Beauty fairy tale. As you can probably tell from my author reading video that I posted recently, I was working really hard on pronouncing everything properly. There would be times where I'd be tripping over words, I would be rushing too much, and honestly, I was kind of panicking a bit for the first week of the entire reading, because at the time I also had no idea exactly how long I had to read, so I assumed that I had 5 minutes at best, and I was trying to see if I could read through at least the first half of the short story, if not the entire short story. Fortunately, I found out that I had more than 5 minutes to read for the whole reading. Closer to the event being live, I found out in another email from the organizer that the author readings would be about 7 to 10 minutes long, so that was a big sigh of relief for me because I realized that I did not have to rush through reading as much, which meant that I could take my time and also finish the entire short story in one go. With this newfound relief and confidence, I knew that I could work on refining what I had already practiced and even add more words to what I already planned to practice initially, which was a good thing. And I am very, very glad that I did that, because I did end up reading the entire short story during my official author reading when it was live. When it came to preparing for the creative writing general discussion panel, I realized that there wasn't too much prep for me to do because I had been through several author interviews in my life, so I kind of just treated the panel while it was live, kind of just like a nice general group discussion / group interview. And it was honestly a lot of fun being able to answer questions, being able to ask each other questions, being able to hear others' replies about how they got into writing, what gave them the most inspiration, why they started writing in the particular genres that they did. And so I found myself really inspired by them to just continue on with my own work as an indie author and poet too. When it came to recording both panels, I would say that the author reading panel and the creative writing general discussion panel were both really fun. Like, I had so much fun hearing from all of the other authors. The other authors who participated in my panels were from the general discussion panel. I had Carter, Allison, and JP, who were really amazing, and honestly, please go support them. They sound like amazing people. They are pretty amazing people, and I really enjoyed my time talking with them and learning about their origin stories with how they got started writing and what they're doing with their writing moving forward. The second panel, my author reading panel, I got to talk with Chandra, Will, and Vanessa, also known as Ness, who also happens to be from the same Writers Alliance as me. So that was pretty awesome being able to connect with all of them and also hear them read aloud from their books, which all of them sound amazing, and their books are officially on my wish list if I have not bought them yet by now. If you happen to miss both of those panels while they were live, I will definitely be having links to both of them in the description down below, as well as the link to the main Canada Fiction Fest YouTube channel where all of these sessions have been recorded. When it came to the panels being organized, I think NP did an amazing job with organizing everyone and everything involved. So NP, if you're watching this, hi. I really hope that you bring this back next year because I really enjoyed it. I also thought that in terms of hosting and moderating panels, Steve and NP were brilliant at what they did. Again, both of you, you have my hats off to you for being able to host and moderate all of those, 36 panels all by yourselves over 2 weeks. So, again, hats off to you. You did amazing. Please, all of you watching this video, give them their flowers in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching this video. NP, if you're watching this, I really hope you bring back Canada Fiction Fest next year because I would be so happy to come back. And I know that many authors would be as well. And if you would like to learn more about Canada Fiction Fest, I will have links in the description below. And if you want more videos like this, make sure to subscribe to this channel. And please, follow me because I will be documenting more of my experiences, attending writing events such as this one, participating in these events, and also talking a little bit more about the business of an indie author and poet. So I hope you'll join me for the ride. Thank you so much, and I'll see you guys in another video. Bye!